And that, everybody, is our little tribute to the Undertaker, as we found out a little over a week ago that he is retiring.
Yeah, rest in retirement, man.
Yes, because we all know retirement is not peace. Well,
Yeah.
from what I've experienced from other people, but yeah, it's see if it's I'm gonna have to at least give it at least one full year to make sure that it's legitimate.
Yeah, if
It's
you, I
all
mean, yeah, if you watch the doc, he has a hard time retiring, and it makes sense.
right.
So, I don't know. He said if Vince needs me, he doesn't know. But it was definitely a send off.
Yeah,
So
it's just kind of sad that it wasn't a send off like you kind of wanted it to be. But I guess that's kind of like the Undertaker way. I don't know, because uh,
well,
he's
he
not.
retired after his AJ Styles match, which is,
Yeah, but I mean, I would have liked to, like it's just weird, and I mean, who knows? Maybe the whole COVID thing affected that as well, because he's not gonna come out. Maybe really weird if he came out live with no audience really and did his whole retirement little speech. Imagine having his retirement speech live in front of like an audience. How epic that would be.
yeah,
I mean, it would
yeah.
be an hour and a half itself just between the entrance and the fans just chanting. But yeah, no, I know that he's had a ton of respect for Vince McMahon. I mean, he's been there since day one, from November 1990, and or October Survivor Series 1990, and here we are in 2020, almost 30 years.
Hmm.
He's never left Vince McMahon's side. It's crazy. But
Yeah, a good old Undertaker.
yeah, and the streak, and it's just crazy. I mean, like, I remember that Survivor Series. Um, I mean, as far as the Undertaker coming out with Brotherly Love, being on the team of, I believe it was Million Dollar Man, Virgil, Honky Tonk Man, and Greg the Hammer Valentine, I believe. Um,
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
actually, I think maybe Greg the Hammer maybe he ended up being a good guy at the time. So I don't know if Jake the Snake was, but I don't know. But I know their opponents were like Coco Beware,
Mm-hmm.
Big Boss Man, Bret Hart, and then I think Jim Danville and Neidhart. So that's what kind of makes me think that Greg the Hammer Valentine was on the other team, because the tag teams. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the oh man, that's one of like Survivor Series was good. But anyway. Oh, but everybody, yes, welcome to the Jawber Report. I'm Big Dan. And we
Thanks,
got
Jock.
good old
In
match.
the house. In my house.
Who's
Not in your house, in my house.
oh boy, there's another. Where's I can't think of his name. Michael or no Pennington. Todd Pennington. Where is he?
Chad Pennington?
No, Todd, the little commentator for
Oh God. I was like,
your
wait,
house.
Chad Pennington, the quarterback? Like, wait a fucking minute. What's happening?
Todd Pettingill. There we go.
I was
That's
like, wait.
Todd
Oh
Petting.
yeah. He did the last one in NXT.
Yep, 1-800
Yeah.
WWC.
And you'll get a house. It's like,
Yeah,
not today. You're not gonna get shit today. We're saving money. We're
yeah.
letting superstars go.
Yeah.
I think wrestling has become like a contagious word. Like if you say wrestling, you're gonna catch something. Yeah, you're gonna catch a firing. That's what you're gonna catch.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know, for instance, that. So apparently it was. I was listening to JR last night, and they were talking that like it was WWFE, like World Wrestling Federation Entertainment. I think that's how they might have named themselves, a corporation. I don't know if that's true, but anyway, it was really interesting. It's like entertainment. Apparently that moniker of entertainment has been with them a lot longer than just when they switched to WWE.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, man, WWF just sounds so much. It just sounds right. WWE, ooh, wee, and it's like
No, it's supposed
uh,
to be two, not we.
we, woo.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you can go way. I mean, it does make sense. I mean, just way back of the theatricals and even like early '90s, mid '90s, they're still doing commercials and I mean, even their pay-per-view entrances were pretty goofy and
But yeah, there were characters. But I was
yeah.
watching the Undertaker documentary, and Triple H was talking about. Um, they shot that in I think it was just outside of, like, 45 minutes outside of Orlando. That Boneyard match.
Oh, okay.
And Triple H was talking about how they can make it. It's like, oh, we're gonna make it cinematic and this and this, and it's that fucking word, that cinematic word I've been
Right.
hearing so much, and I'm like, I just, like, after watching the Boneyard match, like, I went to film school. Not that I'm a film expert by any means, but I've learned some things about film, and I've learned to analyze film. And
Mm.
I watched the Boneyard match, and there's like cuts, there were edits between, especially when the Undertaker showed up behind AJ Styles with that shit. Like, that was not necessary. Like, Undertaker didn't have to do any of that. By the way,
Right.
I guess I want to talk about the Boneyard match a little bit with you right before we get to our Mount Rushmore.
That's fine.
But I was rewatching it last night on the dock. They were showing parts of it, and there were some cuts that were just kind of like, okay, you hung on to this cut way too long, and I know I'm just analyzing the shit out of it, but it just didn't. It looked like it was wrestlers. I like your scratching posts.
Just a little back
You,
chat.
you, oh, so you don't want to.
Sorry.
You do that because you don't want to touch your face? Or do you just do
Yeah.
that because it is what it is, and you just
Well, 'cause I can reach. I
Oh,
can reach.
great.
So I might as well just whatever and
Yeah,
just
we're everywhere.
reach
That's
scratchers.
fantastic. You just became even more cooler than you could ever be. Big D just rolls around with a scratcher. I like that. And here I am bitching about the edits of the Boneyard match. It was like wrestlers doing video. Like, I don't know. There was some stuff in there that I didn't like, but overall it was fun. It was a fun match. It was a good match for the Undertaker, especially considering the circumstances.
Yeah, like I'm
But,
not
like,
disappointed.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Hmm.
Um, do you think that it was even necessary for the Undertaker to be able to evoke fire, and for the Undertaker to show up behind um, the little hole digger, whatever that's called, the little bobcat, whatever? Like that. It's like one of those things. Like, yeah, like, we understand who the Undertaker is, and we
Right.
know he gets out of the ring and all this stuff, but,
It
like,
would have
that
been.
wasn't
I mean,
necessary. It was like a street fight. Like, this wasn't even the
right,
Undertaker. This was the
right. American Badass. Taker.
Yeah, this was like a dude. You insulted my wife and my family. I'm gonna fucking beat the shit
Right.
out of you.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like we never did see. I mean, even during Badass Taker, you didn't see any of the um, the smoke or like just the powers. You didn't really see any of the powers of the Undertaker when he was Badass
But it
Taker.
was different in the arena. It was
Yeah,
different in the
right,
arena. It's like,
right,
oh, he raises his arms, or lights go up. Like that still, for some reason, seems plausible because there's somebody turning the lights on. And when he
right.
did the little the lightning,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
that was
didn't. I
it.
mean, at the end with the fire, I don't know. I guess they just wanted to end it with a bang, and then the whole him coming up behind Styles, I didn't care for it. I mean, you kind of knew it was going to happen. But if they were to, like, but if it was, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you might
it
have
wasn't,
commented on that on our
it
WrestleMania
wasn't
review.
necessary. Um, 'Cause, I mean, yeah, it just wasn't necessary. Um, but regardless, I mean, maybe if there was like some smoke or something, or if there was like an urn that was just that, like, I would have loved to have a reference to the urn. The urn hasn't been seen or discussed about, since Paul Bearer
Paul,
was,
Paul Bearer, isn't it?
gone. You know, and
Didn't they have like a thing during the Attitude Era where they fucked with the urn? Was
oh yeah,
Paul Bearer was?
many times. I mean, because those, like with the fake taker, uh,
Yeah.
even like Paul Bearer turned on the taker, and but no, I remember the one where somebody was messing with it, and then it just bellowed up in smoke, and then it was just like and then I don't know if it turned green or if it was green smoke or something, but then like Paul Bearer like grabbed it, and then all of a sudden just that light shined out of it, and he's just like losing control of the urn, and the lights are going all over the arena, and then, like the Undertaker came back, and um, I think that's what led to the Taker versus Taker match. Because everybody was searching for the Undertaker, they were searching all the cemeteries and finding out where he was buried, like where he was gone, and like they found where he was buried, and he wasn't in there. Um,
The more
but
innocent times.
it's just crazy. I mean, like he always had storylines, but I don't know, none were. I don't know. It was just he had so many feuds and just like that was just crazy. I mean, his career, you go back and it was just all the great, casket matches and buried alive matches. Um, and he was part of every epic match. Um,
Well, for me, that oh, is it burn? What was the one with the fire around it? Like,
on the ring,
yeah,
yeah,
like whoever gets lit first. Inferno
yeah,
match.
Inferno match. There you go. I
To
was actually gonna
me,
say, I was
I
gonna say that's
I
my favorite.
that's not his favorite. No,
I didn't.
that's nobody's favorite because it was so fucking hot. But it was my favorite. I just thought I remember watching that and I was like, this is so fucking cool.
Right. I don't know. I might have to watch it again because I don't think I've ever watched it more than maybe twice. Maybe I don't know. But I don't know. It was just always my least favorite of the matches, and I mean, obviously you have Hell in the Cell, which will go down as the most infamous match that Taker created. But yeah, just so many matches that the Taker was involved in and creating.
Yeah,
Um,
what did Taker even take a bump in that match?
Maybe when he, no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
He just
It was
yeah, he
just,
just manhandled Mick Foley and that was it.
yeah,
Mankind. Phew.
Um,
Well,
hell of a career, and definitely shout out to Mark Calloway and what he's done for the company for sure, and just sticking around that long. That's just you don't really. I mean, even outside normal life, you very rarely do you have people who say they work for the same company or had the same job for almost 30 years. I mean, you did back in the day, and your grandfather or whatever, your uncles, whatever, they had the same job for 35, 40 years. And uh, but nowadays, especially something physical like that. I mean, granted, the last 10 years or so, he's almost only had one match a year, but still to force himself to get into some sort of shape that's probably still better than ours to perform. Yeah, I mean that's just dedication and
yeah, he talked about having to train, a lot harder for less results. Like he just couldn't move. He couldn't move like he used to. He just couldn't deliver like he used to. So, yeah, thanks.
yeah.
Shit, man. Thanks for
And I
all the
just happened to
fun fucking memories.
I was just looking. I was just interested, and I just looked it up. And as of I don't know what the date is, but um, as this article, WWE
July
has held
2nd.
30 Hell in a Cell matches, and Undertaker has taken part in 11 of them,
Mm.
going with a 6-5 record. Wins against Mankind, Big Boss Man, Orton, Edge, CM Punk, and Triple H. He's lost to Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Mick Foley, Batista, and Kane twice.
Really? Hell
Yep.
in a Cell?
Yep.
He's lost to Kane twice?
Yep.
I remember Kane is one of my top people. Speaking of Mount Rushmore, we're talking about Mount Rushmore today. Our Mount Rushmores, and
Time for 4th of July.
that's right. That's right.
I didn't even think about that when I brought it up. I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of nice little coincidence that ended up happening.
It's
But
meant to be, man. It's meant to be. But I just remember as a fan of Kane, you would be very frustrated if you were expecting him to win. He
right.
doesn't win much.
No. 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 Oh.
But he beat Undertaker twice. I don't remember that. I just remember, like, I just knew it. Like, I know he's gonna fucking lose.
Crazy though, 30 Hell in a Cell matches. I'm like, man, that's just
You gotta slow
one out,
down on those.
one out of the 30, or maybe two have been women's.
I haven't seen a women's Hell in a Cell.
I think just the one. Was it Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks?
Oh wow.
That was at the same Hell in a Cell as Bray Wyatt or the Fiend and
And
Seth
Seth
Rollins.
Rollins.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Was it?
we're gonna talk today about Seth Rollins a little bit. I want to.
Yeah. No.
But let's get into the meat of this, man. Let's keep moving.
Yep.
So we were talking about the topic, today's topic, and first off was moment of silence. Well, moment of Undertaker's music for the Undertaker. So thank you, Mark Calloway. As fans, we fucking appreciate the shit out of it, and
Yeah.
and just what a stand-up guy, putting so many guys over.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, like that helps so many guys that we followed and we liked, and some of which may be on our Mount Rushmore today. So,
Possibly.
but for the like, should I even explain what Mount Rushmore is? Like, does every American know what Mount Rushmore is?
I mean,
I think I'm
Depends
gonna
on,
assume that we
yeah,
know what Mount Rushmore is.
should assume.
Yeah, like I don't want to be. Yeah, that would be disrespectful for me, especially a foreigner who came to the States. Like, should, should I be telling what Mount Rushmore is? Oh my God.
It's like,
Sorry.
will it ever
Sorry,
change?
y'all.
Will
Huh.
they ever add another head? Um,
Yeah.
Not anytime soon. But so pretty much, yeah, just
They're running out
picking
of mountain.
our top four. Um, you want to say, pioneers of no, I was going to go with wrestling, and it's like, yeah, we probably just stick with the WWE. That's what I did. Um, so pioneers of WWE. Um,
I'm going everywhere. I'm going everywhere.
are, you are going ever? I mean,
I'm
I
going
kind
everywhere.
of was, but it didn't end up that way. For me, really. And to be honest, I'm still debating on my fourth. Um, it's a really hard one to do. So even as we're discussing it, and everything, it's still in the back of my mind as to who
Should
my
should we should we throw the like one extra like call it the Rocky Mountain like that's the one in the in uh a little further away,
right.
but yeah, I don't know, maybe there's one alternate like one that you still want on there but you don't like, maybe they're underneath.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a little bonus one, little silver lining, uh, close cuts, if you will.
Well, so we go backwards from uh our least like I guess four, three, two, one. Or does it?
Yeah,
That doesn't matter.
yeah, we could do
Anyway,
that. It
we'll
doesn't
be
really matter.
positioning. Sorry, sorry. I get excited, Big D. I get excited. I don't mean to talk over you, brother.
I don't think I don't feel like it. I don't feel like
Okay,
it.
good, 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 good. Um, do you want to start us off with number four in your heart?
Oh,
I didn't want to start it. I didn't want to start it.
that's fine. That's fine. Um, See, that's where it's a toughie for me right now. But I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with my gut. Um, Mick Foley.
Mick
Foley.
Foley. All right. We're gonna start with
I
the
was
unexpected.
I was torn between it, and honestly, and it might not. I mean, depending on the person, but it was between Mick Foley and John Cena. Um, as a pioneer, I mean, John Cena obviously from 2003 till even just a couple of years ago. I mean, obviously the last couple of years he's hasn't been around as much, more Hollywood, older. But he carried the company on his back for sure for well over a decade in the most recent years. And
And
I
he had
think without
loyalty.
yeah, and I think without that, I don't know where wrestling would be right now because there really wasn't that person um, who
Yeah, maybe
hadn't already.
Brock Lesnar, but he was
Maybe,
part
but,
time.
but yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, like the kind of the star power.
Right, right. But other than maybe Lesnar, I mean, there really wasn't anybody that could carry it that hadn't already been carrying the company on their back, at least a decent amount of weight for quite a while. Because that Attitude Era, it took quite a few guys to carry the company on their backs, and even though they were still around, some of them were still around when John Cena came around. I don't know if they could have carried that all the way to like the next generations. So that was a tough one. But Mick Foley, I mean, going all the way back to when I first seen him in WCW, in ECW, just like I think one of the first matches I ever seen was at I can't think of the pay-per-view WCW had. It was one of the Texas. I can't remember. It was like a bullwhip match, I believe it was. They had. It was like a strap match. It was Cactus Jack at the time, and Bang Bang.
Oh yeah.
But just so many. I mean, and I fall in love with him. Just his walk alone, his little Hunchback of Notre Dame walk, his hair, his just look of just, this guy's crazy. It just really pulled me towards him, and
Cactus Jack, baby.
and yeah, and then just his story. Then he starts. You get his little documentaries and books, and you actually get to know the guy and just his story and just how he came up and then how he continued that.
Foley is good.
Foley is good. Foley is good. Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Mankind. I mean, when Mankind debuted, that was some freaky stuff. And him and Undertaker were just spot on. Every match they had, every feud they had, and then carrying that over into his time with The Rock, and then the Rock and Sock connection, and just and just being the legend that he is, and still putting over guys. Even within the last year and a half, helped him put Bray Wyatt and the Fiend over. That's just a huge shout out to Mick Foley for sure. But yeah, no, he definitely made my top. He officially made my top 4. And I don't see many people could argue against that. But
I definitely won't argue. I'd just like to let anyone who's listening know that these are our picks, man. Like this is who we like. You may disagree with these 100%, and that's okay. These are the people we like, and you can build your Mount Rushmore too.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Exactly. Feel free to
that's democracy.
Leave your own Mount Rushmores in the comments. That'd be great.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be great to see a nice diversity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll be amazed at like, it's like you have your greats, but then you also have people's favorites, like people who like, like I watched Kane. He would be up there for me, which I already ruined one pick.
And so I guess we'll.
Well. Well, let's start off with Kane then. I'm sorry, were you anything else for Mick Foley? Bang,
no.
Bang.
Bang, bang.
Well deserved, for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah. Just all that he's put his body through, and obviously that caught up with him. But again, his dedication to the business, and to
the fans.
Yeah, fans, generations of wrestlers coming up. Obviously his family, his daughter was getting into it. I'm not sure I don't think she's still continuing it now. But still, apparently the biggest Santa Claus fan of all time, which is pretty funny, but still.
Yep.
No, great career, and I love that he still comes around here and then, and he still gets the pops, and
he always gets that cheap pop, like here in whatever Denver, Colorado, and I was like, oh, every time.
It's the wrong city.
Yeah, he's not like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan would get the city wrong on WrestleMania. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit, that was pretty funny. Everybody's booing him. Mick Foley, man, well deserved. And one thing that I remember about Mick Foley is that every time, well, not every time, but a lot of times I watch his matches, especially on pay-per-views, it was just my mouth would drop, or just my jaw would drop, just like, what the fuck? Like,
Yep.
holy shit! Like, did he just do that? It was like
Yep.
what TLC did, but Mick Foley did it on the regular.
Right.
You know, like, holy shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's definitely the king of hardcore because every single match there was a hardcore aspect to it. I mean, that's what he was. It was in his heart, and it came out every single match. And when he finally became heavyweight champion, and they came out and put him up on his shoulders, I'm like, man, that's awesome right there. Yeah.
Sweet. Mick Foley. Well,
Yep.
thanks, Mick Foley. Well deserved. You are on Mount Rushmore officially. We have chiseled you out on Big D's Mount Rushmore, and that's a tall Mount Rushmore. You're gonna stand above people, so.
Yeah. And it was a little bit cheaper. It was a little bit cheaper than the other heads because we didn't have to do one here.
Touche. You're something, Big D. You're something. Let me get some water here. Big D's got the jokes today, ladies and gentlemen.
I always have the jokes, whether or not you hear them or not.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, I don't know, man. I think Mick Foley would be on many people's Mount Rushmore. I think that dude deserves it.
I hope
Just
so.
just for the moments, man. Like I get tired. I would get tired after some of those pretty fucked up Mick Foley matches. Like I would get drained because you're like, holy shit.
Right.
He's
That's just like,
really.
how do you follow that? How do you follow it? And that's another thing that'd be interesting too, is to actually go back to these epic matches that he had and see what the next match was. I
You know
think
what the
that
next match was, Big D?
not
It
good.
doesn't matter what the next match was. That's what it is. Yeah. No
You
matter
got
how good it is, it just doesn't matter.
you got me there.
Yep. All right. So now y'all heard what my pick is for number 4.
Now was he actually your number 4?
Well, he was number 1, but he's gonna go number 4 now.
Oh wow. Wow.
Well, I had to be true to me. I had to be honest to myself. It's like, who did I root for and who did I enjoy watching? And it was Kane.
Okay.
So I guess I'll start from my number 1. Is that cool?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking, Ric Flair. You're thinking Stone Cold, Rock. I mean, you're thinking these big stars. But for me, the one that I always tuned in to watch, the one that I always wanted to win, the one that I always was that there's a lot of frustration growing up a Kane fan, except when he first started. When he first started, he was just beating everyone left and right. But Kane was it. Like I had a poster, a big life-size poster in my room of Kane. So yeah, he was my number 1. He was my top head on Mount Rushmore. And I was a big fan of the mask and the way he talked with that throat thing, which was I don't know what you call that, the voice box, but I guess if you have tracheotomy,
Right.
yeah, you
Right.
have to talk through that. I thought that was cool. I liked how he was Undertaker's brother. I collected the Undertaker comics with Kane in it. I just like the fire, like when the music starts and then the fire just shoots up. Yeah. So for me, Kane was he was my number 1 that I watched. He was my most favorite wrestler, and he's definitely if you talk about the greats, I don't think Kane is going to be up there. But on my Mount Rushmore, there's that big red machine mask that he wore, the original one. And I would even chisel him out with uh, the contact lens in one eye.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and yeah. So my number one, I went to number one. I will go backwards from now on. I will not ruin my picks ahead of time. But Kane was my top of my line, man. Top of my Mount Rushmore. I don't know what else to say.
Right.
I
No, I
I
mean,
was so excited when he beat Stone Cold, but guess what match he beat Stone Cold in?
the King of the Ring.
Yeah, and
Yep.
guess what it followed?
That's funny. That's funny. He always falls in the shadow.
Oh
Always in the shadow.
yeah.
Funny.
How do you
That's
follow
funny.
it like that? You win a championship and nobody fucking remembers.
Right. Right.
It was a first blood match where Stone Cold took some serious bumps, man. Stone Cold took some like pure concrete bumps in that match just to be able to match up Foley and Taker, and it doesn't matter. That's it,
That's
baby.
crazy. He debuted as Kane back in '97.
He debuted. Well, if you talk about
Well, I mean, as far as his
Glenn
character,
Jacobs
right, right.
as Isaac
I think it goes,
Yankem.
yeah, it goes back to '92.
Oh, Fake
I
Diesel.
think,
He was Fake Diesel too.
yep, yep.
That didn't work.
No,
But
no.
that's my pick.
None of the fake.
Oh
Like
God,
even the Taker versus Taker, I didn't. No, I
Taker dressed
remember
up
that.
once as Kane too. You know.
Yep, yep. And he took off yep. I think the revealing of Kane, that was one of my iconic moments of him. He never went. Very rarely did he go back to his little hair mask, helmet, whatever. Because
It was probably not that comfortable.
yeah, but I would have loved to have seen it like off.
Like a burnt face or.
Oh well, no, like no, like seeing like the mask and like the hair connected to it, like in
Oh.
like off of him, but like in person, actually try and put it on. So I always wonder like who out there like has like and a little off subject, but like Paul Heyman, he had that ponytail. Pretty sure that ponytail was connected to the hat. I'm pretty sure it was not real, but
That was Polly dangerously.
yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, no. Kane is, if you actually look, and I really wanted to go. I really wanted to mainly see when he debuted and just like how long. I mean, as he came out as Kane, that was '97. But obviously, since '92, um, never left the company. You know, did whatever it took to get the things done. And I was looking at his championships, and I mean, it's just three world champions, uh, three-time world champion, 12-time tag team champion. Which he was even a
That's
tag team
fun.
champion in WCW, which I might have to look up more on that.
I didn't know
Um,
that.
yeah, I didn't know that either.
Oh wow.
Um, used to hold the record for most eliminations at Royal Rumble. Uh,
That was a crazy Royal Rumble. I
yep.
don't remember what year, but I remember watching him, and he got like one of the first ones, and he I think he was like second to last or something like that to get eliminated,
Hmm.
or I mean just like I was, but then again it's the same frustration, man. I was rooting for him, and he was kicking everybody out, and you're like, this is his year, this is his year.
Right. Right.
No, I think The
It's like this.
Rock eliminated him or Austin or Big Show, one of the.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was what I was thinking maybe Austin, but it might have been The Rock.
Ah,
But either way, it's like he was like He like the Chicago Cubs of the WWF.
Well, he was like what? Bridesmaids, never a bride type of shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
Best
man,
man,
I just
never a groom.
went back to like his weird days with what was he kidnapped Lita, I think, or something. He was in love with Lita, or um, yeah, it was just oh man,
Well, I
no,
mean, not all the angles were the greatest.
no, but
I
they
just
did,
like,
like I said, they did what they had to do, and
well, he was just like, so with the Undertaker, he was a great addition as his brother, which like just immediately cemented him up top,
mhm,
you know.
yep,
And
um,
then you had that run of Brothers of Destruction in the early 2000s. That
oh
was
yeah,
great.
oh yeah.
It starts with the Canes music, and then when the fire goes, like keep rolling, rolling, rolling. Like that was. They didn't ride motorcycles. They should have. That would have been fun. Is the Undertaker and Kane riding motorcycles?
Kane on a
Kane on
motorcycle.
the sidecar,
Yeah,
or
that'd
riding, holding on
that'd
to Undertaker, riding on the back.
that'd be funny.
If you
Oh
can read
man.
this, Kane fell off.
Oh, and then he went and became corporate Kane, and he was working for Triple H, and that kind of I think that was more of a that was like a real life thing that he wanted to do because I mean uh, now he's the mayor of
Yeah, of Knoxville, Tennessee.
yep, yep.
Wow.
Um, so I
How
mean
cool is that?
yeah, yeah, and
He's
he
an
just
actual fucking mayor.
he just how did he how yeah he had the 24/7
Oh yeah.
I European 369 420 championship a couple
Yeah,
not too long.
I think he beat R-Truth for it.
Yep, yep. He scared our truth and he ran into the goalpost because they were at the Tennessee. I don't know if it was, I think it was a college, university
Yeah.
football field. Scared him, ran him into the field goal post, and yeah, just pinned him.
Those things happen, man. What are you gonna do? I
Yep.
like the fact, like when they removed his mask, I like the fact that it was like, well, I didn't like that they removed his mask, but I
Right.
liked how they handled it. It was like his psychological issues,
Yep.
like
Yep.
psychologically burnt.
Man, and then you just yeah, I was just once you said psychological, it like kind of stuck with him, and then like his times with Daniel Bryan, and they were going to see the psychiatrist. And, like the whole yes and no uh, movement, and man, it's just you start thinking about these guys, and then you start thinking about just their different, the whole journey, uh,
Yeah.
career, and
Yeah,
how,
Kane's had a long journey, man.
yeah,
He's there a while. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, he's there a while. Not like some other greats, but that was my. Sorry, folks, I ruined my number one, but there it is. We're gonna start from the top, and we can only go down. But Big D's building up.
I can only go up.
Yep, that's what
I'll
she
go with
said. Ha ha ha. Is that
my
a thing to say now? Gosh, I don't know.
it's not horrible. Um, I
I
have
think
to.
that's what she said, though. I'm just.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a lot. She says a lot of things. That's for sure.
yeah. They'll all be talking.
Take it
So,
easy.
Big D, you're next,
Oh,
man.
numero trace number three. I
Hit me
have.
with your best shot.
The kind of thing I was kind of going like. I'm not really in any order, certain order, to be honest. But
Is your
there's
number one, though? Your number one?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, about the same
There's
here.
as far as who I believe, yes. Maybe not per se my favorite wrestler of all time, but I mean even that's a debate right there as far as who my number one is. But number one as far as who I think is deserving of pioneering and of overall number one, yes. Um,
Well, I mean, like I'm going by this is my fucking Mount Rushmore, so I'm gonna be
Oh yeah.
selfish.
Oh, definitely. No. Um, my number three. That was also a toss up, but I didn't include the loser of this toss up in with the Mick Foley and John Cena, obviously. Um, and I think this was more of a favorite. Um, and it was actually The Rock. It was between The Rock and Stone Cold. I did go with The Rock because I was there from the beginning when he was little Rocky Maivia coming out.
Yeah,
And
with the little what are those tensils or whatever on his arms,
oh yeah, yep,
and he was
yep.
just so happy to be there,
Hair
and you're like,
was
oh my god.
weird, and I mean, I knew Stone Cold from WCW, but The Rock, his transformation, I loved Nation of Domination. I thought that was an awesome group, stable. There we go.
Yeah,
It went,
yeah, he separated in this. So like you can just see him like in the beginning, like
yeah,
promos, like The Rock just making all those faces and shit. And it's like, when is this dude gonna talk? As soon as he did, he just separated himself, and that was it.
exactly. Oh yeah, he exploded, and but I mean, and then just his promos. I mean, his promos, like, I mean, you could almost like every single one was almost a 10 out of a 10. Um, just and I think the way he put over everyone that he was feuding with a promo and just the insults and the jokes and his
Catchphrases.
songs and just yeah, oh man, so many catchphrases. Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? It doesn't matter. Um, uh, there's so many. But the rock bottom and the people's elbow, and just overall is like his wrestling was. I love.
Candy ass.
Um,
Jabroni.
and just his going back and forth from a face to a heel. Just he was like so much in the middle of that he could just go either way. He's still gonna get the pop regardless.
Oh yeah, Rock was
You
like
know,
he could be both.
oh yeah, join forces with McMahon against Stone Cold and Triple H and just but yeah, no, like that era and like that just that like that kind of electrifying.
The
Uh,
most electrifying man on
yeah,
Big D's
he
Mount
was.
Rushmore.
He was. I mean, you hear that, but then it's just like that time period, just like yeah, you hear that breaking the glass, and you just get the goosebumps, and it's like, oh, Stone Cold's coming out, and then you hear the if you smell, and then you're just like, oh, like right now I just got goosebumps, and
Dude, I
and
was
even
there. I
with
watched him
the
live
speech,
once.
I got to see him once as well, and yeah, it was crazy.
Dude, as soon as that hits, it's ridiculous.
Yep,
It's
yep.
pandemonium, and I don't know. I would debate that. Um, I don't know. Like I've seen Stone Cold a few times. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Stone Cold had a different pop. Stone Cold was like somebody lit like a fucking stick of dynamite under your ass. That was the Rock was like, I don't know. The Rock was different, but they were definitely cheering for Stone Cold like longer, but they were chanting for The Rock longer.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like people
Oh,
lost their shit with Stone Cold.
yep.
But with Rock, it's like Rocky, Rocky, and they get to uh, people were able to chant with him and finish his catchphrases
Yep.
and millions and millions.
And then you just wait. You just wait for them to say it, and they never said it at the same time. Which that's epic. But
I mean, just involve the audience that much, dude. The
yeah.
Rock is epic.
And then you go on to his his Hollywood career, and I mean I've liked most of the movies that he's been in that I've seen. But it's like that kind of. I mean, that's different than the wrestling, but that's kind of pioneered as far as wrestlers that do go into the entertainment business. Um, he's
That's on a
definitely
different level for him.
laid that path. But yeah, I mean, he was just overall just every aspect of it he was good at. Um, if only like all of his relatives could be like that. Um, most of them are, but yeah. Sorry, Roman.
I knew you were gonna go there.
But yeah, no, but for what he did for the company, I just again he was just one of those guys during the Attitude Era that put a lot on his shoulders, and you know definitely helped them win that Monday Night Wars along with so many others. But um, he brought the ratings. He brought the ratings, and he was always fun to watch, and you always tuned in for him, and um, yeah, I think oh, again, hell of a career. Um, sometimes it seems like it was like almost short for some reason. I think it's just because he did get so popular so fast, and he did kind of go into Hollywood so fast. Um, but he was there for a long time, and he continues to come back. Um,
That's what's fun about it, man. Like The Rock
yeah,
just
yep,
kind of pops his head in.
yep. His love for it, his passion for it, it's his home.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this, he probably wouldn't be doing what he's doing now. Um,
Finally, The Rock has come back home.
he's not done yet. I mean, there's still there's that thought and hope that he's gonna have one more match. And, I
Yeah, I
wouldn't mind.
remember the thing with Billy Gunn. He got a promo on Billy Gunn. I don't know if you remember that, but so Billy Gunn was praying to God. And that's when they were giving Billy Gunn a push. And he's God, I want to be better. I want to beat The Rock. And God's like, what's your name again? Billy, it doesn't matter what your name is.
No, I don't. I don't remember that. But that's funny. That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, the Rock is my
There's a lot of like I would put like there's YouTube videos on Rock just cutting promos for minute for I mean
oh
10 15 minutes and I just remember the one with Jonathan Coachman when he's like sing your because what do you like to sing Barry Manilow Copacabana or whatever and so he's like well you start singing it turn around and then he kicks him in the ass just kicks him right off screen to get out of Rock's picture.
yeah, he was just he still is. His, his
Dude,
promos are just.
people strudel. Come on. He's like, Lillian, do you like strudel?
Yeah, he was always pushing the edge, always pushing the edge. There. And it was just hilarious. He was like the voice of the fans, and he'd always say we always wanted to say, and um, but yeah, so
Well, The Rock's definitely, like, I think Rock is on most people's, I think he's on the Mount Rushmore, if we were to make one. Does that
right,
make sense?
yeah, I mean it totally does, and I mean
He'll be there with Hogan's and stuff, with Austin.
yeah, yeah, totally complete icon. Um, yeah,
All right. Rock, number 3 in Big D's heart.
oh,
Oh, oh.
you put it that way, maybe I should change it.
Number 1 in your hearts. Number 3 in Big D's heart. The Rock's the shit, man. The Rock was like he's on the next level.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to. I will go a different route on my number 3. Because yeah, I had The Rock up there too. So
Okay.
um, but I'm gonna go in a strange direction with this one. I don't know a ton about this guy, but I know that every time I knew he was wrestling, I want to watch it.
Okay.
And that was Sting. And I'm pretty sure that most people would disagree with me on this one, but
He
Sting was like one
he
guy
wasn't
like,
he wasn't my thoughts.
oh, good.
Uh,
Good. Hey, Sting.
yeah.
Good old Stinger. Sting and Ric Flair tearing it up, man. It's just over and over and over. Um, but not so the Sting with all the colors and that flat top. No, I'm talking about the Crow Sting.
Hmm.
That was with the baseball bat and the trench coat,
Yep.
hanging in the rafters, fucking with people. Mentally,
Hmm.
I enjoyed, like, I don't know if it's the mask thing. Like if I I think I just liked wrestlers who were more like superheroes. Like or face painted. Like they weren't like the rest of them.
Hmm.
And Sting was definitely I mean, The Rock beats out Sting here, but I'm gonna go with Sting just to keep it, so we have some other people to talk about. I would say Sting. And I rewatched a couple of matches when he actually went to WWE, his last stint, versus Triple H at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was frustrating because they should have put Sting over.
Right.
But they didn't know
Right.
he was going to get hurt.
True.
Um, I think that was, I think what they were planning on doing was to get Sting to beat Seth Rollins and win the WWE Championship. But we all know what happened in that match, man. And I just watched it last night. And those two buckle
Uh
bombs.
huh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, have you seen that match?
Yes. Yes.
Oof, that was rough to fucking watch. He
Yeah.
could
No.
barely stand, man. Like you could just see him the first one. He's like just flexing his fingers, trying to like oh shit, this is really hurt. And then the
Right.
second one was like he is wobbly. He could
Mm.
barely stand.
Yeah.
Woo! And he finished the match. He still finished the match.
Right. Right. Uh,
That was just so sad to see because
yeah.
finally here he is.
That was the word right there. Sad. Yeah.
And he was never like flashy or any, like, I mean, maybe with his ring gear, but as far as like wrestling, like he was very, you got the stinger splash, the backdrop or the neck drop, yeah, the backdrop, yeah, and the scorpion deathlock, which was a sharpshooter.
Yep.
Like there was nothing super special about Stinger, and like the woo, that's like Ric Flair with hands.
Yep.
But
Yep.
just the whole gear, the whole getup, the whole stigma of the character, like I always played like in those old school Super Nintendo 64 games and stuff. I always played with Sting,
Hmm.
and so like I'm just going like my personal favorites, and then Rock would have been there, but I'm gonna go with Sting as my alternate for number three.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah,
That's,
I think Sting, like, he's not as popular, but he was definitely like, I mean, they call him the icon known as Sting. Like he was definitely a symbol, and TNA, WCW, even WWE, he was at the top.
yep. Yeah. Um. See, when I think of Sting right off the bat, it's the colors.
Yeah,
It's the colors. It's the flat top. It's the his jackets and just his face paint and just that's when I mean yeah you had the crow sting which that definitely pushed him up at that plateau, that whole storyline and just that character. But um, I remember most, at least match wise, of when he was the colorful stings. I remember the epic him and Flair matches. Just every week pretty much.
You mean
Um,
Ric Flair?
yep, yep. Sting and Flair. I mean, that was just
Oh,
the.
I thought you said Kevin Flair for a second. I'm like,
Oh
what?
no, no.
He's like, hey, there's another
What?
Flair?
You you don't know about Kevin Flair? Come on.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link. But no, I mean, just that. That's kind of because like WCW was kind of around more earlier than WWF was, at least as far as me watching. I think I remember WCW a little bit earlier. Um, and it might have been. It might not have been called WCW at the time. It might have still been
Well,
kind of or whatever.
well, was it WCCW?
Maybe I'm not too sure. But for some reason, I remember him and Sting before. I remember, um,
Anyone else?
yeah. And I'm not sure really why. And I'm gonna one thing. And then you said like Sting might not be as popular, and I think that might be due to the fact that he never did go to WWF or WWE until just within the recent years. And he was always WCW. He was that WCW strong guy. He stayed there the entire time, never left. Um,
It's the
yeah, yeah,
Undertaker of WCW.
exactly. And it's funny that they kind of almost had like similar characters, and that's why you wanted that Taker versus Sting match.
Oh God.
It really seems like we'll never get, and I'm glad that we'll never get that. It would have been nice to get, back even in the late of their primes. It would have been great. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
when
Sting
Sting came
Taker.
back, I don't know. I wasn't as big of a wasn't as excited as a lot of people when he came to the. I mean, I thought it was great that he did because he deserved to be. Um,
It was
but
late, man. It was late.
yeah, yeah, and like as a wrestling fan, but also as a sports fan, and seeing like my favorite team will get my favorite player, but man, I really wish you would have got him like 6 years ago. That would have been really nice. It's kind of like that with Sting. If you would have gotten him about 5, 8 years, maybe even 10 years earlier when you had the chance. Um, but no, he ended up going to TNA.
TNA.
But you know
Well,
what? They did that. TNA was great then too. And
yeah, yeah. You had Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle and Sting went at it. Uh, AJ Styles was in there.
yep, a lot of
Uh,
the underdog
Hardy,
of this. Love the Abyss, or not
Samoa
the
Joe.
Abyss. Samoa Joe, Hardy. Um,
Well, Jeff. Yeah, that's when Jeff had
that's
all of his drug issues because it was a match with Sting that Jeff was um, completely just he was
yeah.
checked out. If that makes sense, he was high AF,
Oh yeah.
and Sting had to somehow like you could see how pissed off Sting
Yep.
was. Oh shit. Oh
Yep.
man, that was rough.
Uh,
Um, I remember Sting talking about something. He was talking about so when WWE bought WCW in was it 2002?
yeah.
I
Somewhere.
think
Up there.
yeah. Whenever they bought him, there was an angle with Booker T and The Rock, and Booker T, they were cutting a promo on each other, and um, basically The Rock buried him. He's like, "Who are you?" Like, and that's what Sting was. I remember listening to him on one of the podcasts talking about that, like, because he just didn't trust WWE to treat him right, and it
Yeah.
was almost like WWE was burying all these guys first to bury WCW.
Right.
Um, and so he really never. I don't think he trusted WWE to use him right. I think
Hmm.
that was his reason, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him because like you can't
Yeah.
like Sting would be like a character you don't fuck with, like he's like a I don't know if he's a continuous draw, like just he'll always draw some people,
Hmm.
whatever. But anyway, he's my number 3, man.
So I can't argue with that at
Yeah.
all.
But I'm with you with The Rock there. If you didn't say The Rock, I would have said The Rock. So,
Gotcha.
but I mean, like, I wouldn't put The Rock number 1 or 2.
Right.
But he's like, Rock isn't a different. Rock needs his own Mount Rushmore. Almost feels like
Right.
it's just The Rock. There's no one else there, and then it's a totally different attraction. There's roller coasters. There's Strudel Town. It's just a different.
I mean, and it's like I was just doing a little skimming of research here on the Sting, but throughout his career, Sting had held 25 total championships, all between WCW and TNA. And then this one, readers named him most popular wrestler of the year on 4 occasions,
Oh,
which ties with John Cena. So I mean,
with all due respect, Big D, I do not put Sting and John Cena on the same mountain.
well, no, but as far as their time and popularity, I think that says something about Sting's popularity during his. And even with the likes of, I mean, it doesn't say, I'm not sure what years he did it. I'm sure it was probably earlier years, but still, no, I mean, he had a long career, because even by the time he got, like, WCW got bigger, he had already been wrestling for, 8-9 years.
It's like when you search for Sting, what do you get? The singer? Yes. Damn it.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Your turn.
So we're at
25
number 2.
championships. Just so 25 championships. That's more than Ric Flair.
Yep.
Just saying.
Let's see, where are we at? We're at my number 2. My number 2.
We're number 2.
I gotta go with the Nature Boy.
Oh no.
Ric Flair.
Oh.
Did we just
out again?
Did we just pick the same?
No, hold on. I lost you, dude. Like, I lost you completely. You're gonna have to re-say that. Everything. I didn't hear your pick or anything.
Oh, really?
The whole connection was lost. I think your excitement broke the connection. Try again. You're number 3.
Well, number 2.
Number 2. I'm sorry.
I got Foley and The Rock. And number 2, I gotta go with the Nature Boy. Ric Flair. Go for it.
All right.
No, go for it.
Woo!
The best, biggest catchphrase that'll forever continue.
I was trying not to do the Sting. The Sting is like, woo!
Yeah, it's a lot shorter now. But yeah, I gotta go with Ric Flair. I mean, even that was a close number 1.
Nature Boy.
It was probably easily the first wrestler that I had seen probably or recognized just alone on his robes, his hair.
Oh God, yes.
White blonde, just luscious head of hair. Even though even in like the late 80s, he still looked. Excuse me. He still looked old.
Yeah, I think Ric Flair always looked old.
Right, he's aged very well.
Except the last couple of years after he had his, I forgot what exactly happened, but he had some health issues.
But yeah, no, he and like the whole Four Horsemen and just again like his restless feuds with Sting.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, there's not many feuds that really stand out. I would have to definitely look at that more. But I mean, his longevity of his career. I mean,
Dusty
uh,
Rhodes. Dusty
yeah. I
Rhodes.
mean, I was gonna say he had to have that had to have been um,
Yeah,
what
him
was
and
what
Dusty. Like, if you
um,
want to watch some like good matches, just watch some Ric Flair Dusty matches.
right.
Just
I mean,
how did they work the crowd, man? It was beautiful. And Ric Flair, he was just most of his time it was a heel. And so like I love how like he would start a match, get his ass kicked, get out of the ring, start walking out. He's like, fuck this. I mean, just that alone, and then the Ric Flair drop, the face drop. It just
oh yeah,
walks, and boom.
getting thrown in the turnbuckle and just flipping over and just continuing to walk on the edge of the apron on the other side of the rope. Like no one else is doing that. Yeah, I haven't seen anyone else do that except for maybe Shawn Michaels. That's the only other person
But
that has.
not in the vein of Ric Flair, man. Not in the vein of
Oh,
Flair.
I mean, as far as selling, he sold everything. I mean,
Yeah,
um,
even the shit that was so hokey, he sold it. He sold it. It was like he's still like he would get punched, and he's like, "No, I'm still going." And then 2 steps later, he just boom, just falls.
it's and just I mean, even his promos. I mean, he could
Oh God.
talk and walk the walk, and um,
Yeah, I mean, we all know the famous one, the
yeah, I still
jet
can't say it all.
flying son of a gun.
Limousine
Oh,
drive,
I forget
jet
the
fly.
exact promo, but damn, that was beautiful. And
Yeah,
he's
he's
just
just
like, just always just nicely, just dressed to the tops, like spending so much money on clothes, rubbing
yes,
it in. He rubbed that in everybody. It was
yep,
beautiful.
yep.
And yeah, he backed it up.
He would get riled up in his promos, and he would just start going nuts. And I was just like, man, this guy's just on it, on it. And he never really lost it. I mean, obviously age comes with it, but just to think, I mean, early '70s, and
The
then
NWA.
he was continuing all the way up, uh, up around Randy Orton and Triple H and um, Batista and the what was the stable? I can't think of the stable.
Evolution.
Evolution, yes. Um, and even now, I mean, he was just on uh, Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. You got Christian in the balls.
Yep, yep, yep. And now for some reason, he's got. I mean, but he's with Randy Orton. He's in Randy Orton's corner. Um, again, little homage to the Evolution. But yeah, no, he's back. He's back a little bit, and in his little weaselly ways.
I mean, I mean, he was most of the time he was a heel. So he
Oh yeah,
loved working heel.
oh yeah.
I like how he would take his jacket off, his coat jacket, and then throw an elbow drop on it. Just lose his shit.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's his famous strut.
Yeah, I
It's just
watched him.
everything about him.
I watched him with I was watching a clip where the refs fight back, which I always thought it was awesome when the refs like they're getting all pushed by the wrestler and they're finally lose their shit.
Right.
And this it was a WCW match, but wrestler pushed Ric Flair back, and he just grabbed the ropes and almost fell down and was shaking his head, just fucking lost his shit, but he didn't attack the ref. It was amazing. He was just selling it so good. Like the ref just fucking nudged him back, and if you're just like just pissed, holding the rope.
Oh, he would get so red, so red.
There was a Raw episode where he apparently he had some stitches in his head, or no, they didn't stitch it up yet, but he cut his head open,
right.
and it was just bleeding. I don't know if you remember that one. It was
Yep.
bleeding profusely,
Yep.
and he
Yep.
noticed it, and he
He was
just starts
going.
punching his wound. And this is WWE. That's like no color WWE. And
Right.
he's just doing that. He gets the jacket down. He throws it, gives it an elbow drop. He's smacking himself. I'm like, this is fantastic. Thank you. Ah,
Yes. Yeah.
thank you. Oh,
No,
Ric Flair. I
he was
think
one
Ric
of the best.
Flair would. Oh God. Oh, I mean, yeah. And simple. He was very like,
Yes.
I don't think he had too many moves.
No.
Him and Sting almost had the same match a lot if you watch it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
he always gets that he gets dropped.
When
Oh, I don't know, man.
your second most famous move is chop to the chest.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful, isn't it?
Just the woos and like it. No matter from now on to the end of time, anybody that
Woo!
cross chop, you're gonna hear woos. Then he had the rolling knee drop, the figure four,
Yeah.
which it's really. I mean, when done right, yeah, you're gonna make the
Well,
guy tap.
he took a lot of bumps too. Like
Yeah,
he would
yeah,
go on the top rope, Sting would get him and just drop
yep.
him over his
Still, yep.
slam.
Nice.
Yeah,
He's
every
some
match just
odd
about.
slam. I always think he's gonna snap his neck or something, but yeah,
I
that's
think
hard.
Ric Flair
Some,
would be people's like. He's probably number one
yeah, I
on
mean
Mount
it's tough.
Rushmore, close to
Tough.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I mean I think there's a more number one, but I wouldn't. I mean that number one, he's not even on my list at all. But
Well, the
uh,
fact that he's not even our era, man. Like he kind of wrestled in when we watched it, but he started way before we
right,
were even born.
right.
So
It's just crazy that he's wrestled 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. Um, you're not never gonna see that. Never gonna
yeah,
see that.
and
Um,
he had relatively compared to other wrestlers, relatively few injuries.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's a one durable son of a gun.
right. What was it 17
17
heavyweight
time.
in time? Um,
So Sting
and
had more championships, but they're not quite as they don't count as much, huh?
um, I mean, those are total titles. Um,
Oh, just championships and
yeah,
like
so I'm not really sure.
world heavyweight championship.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Either way, it doesn't even matter if Flair
Well,
was never the champion.
16 time world champion. Um, he's claimed to be a 21 time champion. Um, so yeah, so even oh wow, he's the first person to complete the Triple Crown, WCW's Triple Crown, having the United States Tag Team and Heavyweight. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, the Intercontinental Championship in WF, um, and also had Tag Team Championship there as well. Um, so yeah, so 21.
Wikipedia?
Yeah, and again, that's edited by the people, but
Oh no, I was just wondering because I'm on
oh
Wikipedia
no, yeah,
too.
Wikipedia. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, you can't go wrong with any main. And he was always a main eventer for the most part. His entrance, I mean, one of the best entrances of all time. And then he gets to hand that down to his daughter. I think that's another thing that just. I mean, even his son. I mean, all his kids were wrestling at some point, but Charlotte, yeah, you can just totally tell.
If Charlotte keeps going with wrestling, man, and if wrestling doesn't fizzle out, I think she could potentially be one of the first females that you would include. And this is like I'm biased because I love Charlotte Flair
Oh,
just because
Rushmore,
the way
yeah,
she carries herself, man. She carries herself
yeah,
sincerely, and it's difficult. And like her own, like even though she's Ric Flair's daughter, she's got that swagger, man. She's got her own thing, and
yeah,
I think if she keeps going, she could be on the Mount Rushmore of with men.
Yeah.
with the men
Yeah.
wrestlers, like with the
Yeah.
greats. Like I think
Yeah.
she could be that. Like I am excited to see that, like as far as wrestling, I'm excited to see where she goes because
Yeah.
I'm a
No,
big fan.
I can agree with that.
And it's like that. Just once again, that's like it's in the blood, man.
Yeah, and just the attitude. I mean, just one thing that always is funny is that never did he wear his own merchandise, and that's what he also tells Charlotte: is never wear your own merchandise. You don't need to. That's for them to wear. That's for you to
Mm,
see. And that's they never really wear their own.
for that character, yeah. I
Yeah,
was gonna
yeah,
say,
they
if you're
don't,
Stone Cold
need
Steve
it.
Austin, you put on a
Right,
hat, you're making a
right,
lot of money.
right.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's just so much about Flair that
And the
we don't even
parties,
know about.
like you just hear his party animal style and
Yeah,
his surviving an airplane crash. Um, I mean, come on, like he was wrestling 6 months or 8 months later.
right.
There's people who died on that airplane, man. That's holy shit. And
Yeah,
the loss of his son, and he just kept going. I tell you what, man, this guy is my hat's off to Ric Flair. I think Ric
oh,
Flair is one of these people that I would put on the TV to even show my girlfriend and be like, hey, you want to see like wrestling? You want to see something why wrestling is special? You watch Ric Flair, like I was showing her how he just walks and face drops.
yeah. And one cool moment with speaking of, well, with Charlotte Flair. Um, but it was a match. It was an NXT. I believe it was for the title. But it was Charlotte Flair versus Natalia, and they had Bret Hart in Natalia's corner and Ric Flair in Charlotte's corner, and that was a really cool moment um, that they had there. But that's I mean that was another storyline too, another feud that he had with Bret Hart. And, but yeah, no, there's just so much about Flair, and it's just like you said, a lot of it happened before our time. Um,
Very fun guy to listen to. I love listening to Ric Flair's podcast when he had it. I don't know if he still has it, but very fun.
yeah,
Yeah, very fun to listen to.
imagine almost every single word is just knowledge. It's just
God, is very knowledgeable and very. I mean, dude's. I think he's been pardoned a lot.
right, right,
He's got
right.
some crazy, wild
Oh
stories.
yeah, yeah. He's the only two-time Hall of Famer. I mean, who does that?
Yeah, well, he got in as himself in Four Horsemen, huh? Shit,
So
man. All right,
yeah,
Ric Flair. Ric Flair, the man. Big D's
yeah.
number 2, Ric Flair.
Ooh,
Shit, I
yeah.
can't wait to see what your number 1 is. Um, okay, so uh, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna adjust mine a little bit, just
Oh,
because like I want to talk about different wrestlers. But Ric Flair, Ric Flair is gonna be on my um
right.
Mount Rushmore. So okay. For number 2, I'm gonna have to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And
Mm,
it was a toss up between that and number 1 really for me, but Kane won out a little bit, but I put Kane on the other end, whatever.
mm.
Um because I already no, so my number 3 would be Austin because Kane is my number 1. But yeah, shit, I ruined my number 2. What is this? It's just whatever. Okay. My next on Mount Rushmore would be in that number 2 range would be Stone Cold Steve Austin. And talk about a dude that's sincere
Hmm.
and a dude that how do I say this? Stone Cold Steve Austin never crossed the line where you're like, oh fuck, like he shouldn't have said that. Um, it was very very like what you see is what you get with Stone Cold, and I think he was just so sincere. Like we talk about Charlotte Flair being sincere and Ric Flair, just being Ric Flair, but just that sincerity and believability. Steve Austin was there, man, and Steve Austin could be a heel, but he could still have morals. Does that make sense? Like he still has morals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and he was a hard worker, and he stood up for the little guy, and he had, I don't know if it's even arguably the best heel against him. Um, yeah, as his nemesis. He Stone Cold Steve Austin had his Darth Vader and Vince McMahon.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that it's very difficult to talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin without talking about Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But uh, for me, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I don't know if you picked them too. But
Well, he was a toss up between him and The Rock.
yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of difficult to talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin in a way because he was he was kind of like just a straightforward character. It's like I'm a hard worker. I'm not gonna betray you. He had morals, and he just went to work and he rebelled against his boss.
Uh-huh.
And I think what made Stone Cold, in the top two, if not top one, if you will, for a lot of people, is the fact that he was able to do that for, a decent amount of years at that high level without ever really getting stale, without
Right.
ever um, dropping off until that one year where he was injured. And
Mm-hmm.
his matches were with not just The Rock, like he would have good matches. Like he was a good wrestler too.
Mm-hmm.
Like psychology wise,
Right. Yeah.
he's a very smart guy.
Yep.
And I listened to his podcast a lot. I enjoyed his podcast and just listening to his wisdom. He paid attention to the crowd and he knew like he would deliver shit. He sometimes it was a little too fast, and I think sometimes like, but that was his style. His style was to whoop your ass.
Right.
His style was very much brawling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he had a lot of good angles. One of which we all remember, which was the beer truck.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
the Zamboni,
So
uh,
many. So
Brian
many.
Pillman with the gun.
Oh, the gun. Yes. Oh man.
Um, I don't know.
Heart.
He was a great character, but he could also keep it up at that level,
Right.
that intensity level for so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You can't not put Stone Cold somewhere in there.
Oh yeah. No. And he's another one too. The what was it? I'm trying to think of his tag team. WCW with Brian Pillman, the Hollywood Blondes,
Or
right?
yes,
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 the Hollywood Blondes. I remember those like glimpses of those days. And then him going to ECW. Um,
that's
and,
right. That's when he was
one,
hurt. He tore his tricep in Japan and went to ECW, and he was
yep,
cutting promos on Eric Bischoff too.
yep, and I think he had one match, I think, and he was done at ECW.
I'm not even sure. Did he have even one match there?
I don't even. That's why I was just questioning myself as well.
Yeah, I don't
Because
think he had any.
actually on the Monday Night Wars documentary. They were talking about it. Yeah, I don't know if I think it was just all promos.
Because he went straight to Ringmaster and with
Yep,
Ted DiBiase. He was the $1 million champ.
yep, yep. And that King of the Ring.
That's
And,
right.
John 3:16.
Yeah.
Just whooped your ass, and then from that point on, it was just.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, Austin, and Austin says 316 says, I just whooped your ass. Oh, that was beautiful, D. That was
A jean jacket, jean shorts, and boots.
yeah,
That's all you needed.
big ass knee pads.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
But he was trying to be more like Ric Flair in the beginning of his career, like in WCW. Watch those robes.
Yep.
Was it Stunning Steve Austin?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like I
And
mean,
like
it's
that,
so interesting to watch that.
you look back on that, that's when his technical wrestling was at its most most open, like most viewable, I would say.
Yeah,
Because what he didn't really have, I mean, he still had that brawler effect, but the brawler effect obviously took over. But like you said, he was still a very technical and good wrestler. But yeah, Stunning Steve Austin, and that's when you really saw it more. Um, yeah, and another guy that he lost a lot too, but and he won a lot as well. But yeah, just that whole Attitude Era and carrying a lot on his back. I mean,
and he kept going, man. He was going full tilt for years.
oh yeah, and again, then McMahon, even McMahon he wasn't even with that feuding all the time. But once it had once there was anything with McMahon and Austin, it was just fire. It was just, oh man, it was just always something that you just would tune in to watch. I mean, those are the days when there was just 2 hours of just jaw.
Non-stop, man. Just boom, 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 thing after thing after thing. And
Yep.
they would hook you in the beginning with something with Steve Austin or Triple H or The Rock,
Yeah.
McMahon, and then you'd have to follow it all the way to the end.
Yep.
Yeah, there was also like, I mean, however you want to look at it, but Vince Russo was one of the writers, was I guess the writer at the time, when the Attitude Era was really heating up,
Okay.
and
Yep.
he wrote a lot of those angles, and
Yep.
he wasn't able to replicate it in other places, but yeah, it was really interesting to listen to Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince Russo talk about wrestling.
Right.
Because Stone Cold Steve Austin always has time for Vince Russo, which not a lot of people do.
Right. Right.
But I think the important thing about Stone Cold Steve Austin has to be Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah, I'm not gonna say too much about Vince McMahon.
And again, it was just main event after main eventers. I mean, Undertaker, Triple H, Bret Hart, The Rock, Mankind,
Shawn.
McMahon, Shawn Michaels. It's just like,
Well, then you got Ric Flair. Ric Flair came in too. He came in what, 98? No, 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 no. When did he come in?
Into where?
Into WWE, because he was there.
Oh,
He was in the Royal Rumble
92?
with Ted DiBiase. He was in the Royal Rumble with him. Was
I want
that
to say it was
before
like
he went to WCW again? Either way, either way.
then. But I remember Flair back in 92, I believe.
Flair worked with Austin.
Um, I don't really remember much with Flair and Austin, but
I
I'm
think
sure
they
they.
just kind of fit him in the end there.
Right.
But I mean, yes, there's a lot of main eventers, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was. I mean, he was also money-wise, he was a bigger draw than Hogan,
Right.
I believe.
I think, yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, they I'll get to this later, but bring up Hogan. He really wasn't around that long for WWF. He was one. I mean, he was one of the first ones. So he really, I don't know.
Well, yeah, he put him on the map though. Like Hogan was the very first superstar that was like known internationally.
Right.
But he's not on my Mount Rushmore, so we can talk about him unless he's on yours. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's a stand-up guy. He was a big draw. He was. I mean, he was. What would you call it? He went past the moon. He was on a rocket ship to.
Yep.
I don't know, out of this galaxy. Is when Stone Cold was hot, and a lot of people could relate to him, and he was the everyman, and he still had morals, which was interesting considering that he stomped everybody, but he had morals, and he was always protective, and I mean, just I don't know, like you could always, if Austin's on the card, it's gonna be good.
Right.
And WrestleMania matches with Stone Cold Steve Austin where it's gonna be main fucking event.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And he was also happened to be a good wrestler, or at least psychologically sound wrestler. And I say that because I was taking in most of his matches.
Right.
So I like, you'll have people who are, charismatic but not so good in the ring. You have people who are so good in the ring but not necessarily charismatic. And then you have people who are a little bit of both but not a lot of both, and Stone Cold was just would you call him the Muhammad Ali of professional wrestling, or am I just really overstepping my bounds here and full of my own shit?
I mean, maybe.
Would that be Hogan? I don't know. Flair?
Yeah,
but just a fun factor, man. Rock and Stone Cold were the shit. Stone Cold grew a little more than The Rock.
Just the way that they just as soon as they found that character, and it just took off. I mean, Stone Cold started a little bit earlier than he was around before The Rock.
Well, he was like the start of the Attitude Era was Stone Cold.
Yeah, right. And there's no better place to start the Attitude Era than Stone Cold.
Yeah. So, hey, thank you, Steve Williams, also known as Stone Cold Steve Austin. You sure as fuck made my childhood and my young adulthood so much more fun and so entertaining, man. So thanks. You're at the top of my Mount Rushmore, man. You're there. You're in some rare air, man.
Just under Kane.
Because I matter. Yeah. Well, Kane he was my favorite,
Right,
he was my favorite.
Well, no.
But
right.
I think people are going to be pissed off or surprised as fuck who I chose as my 2. Whatever. I don't know. Like, these are all 4, okay? They're all close to each other.
Right.
But my last pick, people are going to be surprised as hell. And I'm just doing that to hook them so they'll stay listening. So, who do you choose?
My number 1.
Gilbert. Yes.
Gilbert.
Right, your turn, man.
Oh, God, I know how much you like Goldberg.
Goldberg. I will go right now and say my Goldberg is my number 5.
Okay.
He's my alternate. There's Big D scratching himself in the background. Yeah. That's a good life right there. He's got a scratcher. All I can see is your shoulder, and you're scratching yourself. So I don't.
Yeah. Well, just like you get one little itch, and then all of a sudden, just your whole body just.
That's right.
It's me. You're like, all right, okay.
Or you get bit, like, or you see an insect and all of a sudden you get itchy. You're like, you
Right.
see a mosquito around. You're like, oh, did I get bit? Did I get bit?
Right. And then
God.
your whole body, then you just start itching everywhere, and you're like, and then it starts getting annoying because your body just doesn't stop itching. But
It takes some self-discipline to just sit there and not
yes,
scratch it for it to go away. But it
I got
takes
a
a
back
while, man.
scratcher upstairs, and I got a back scratcher downstairs. I always
There's downstairs scratcher. Those are these, right?
dun, dun, dun. Well, this has 5. Oh, where are we? Oh, there we go. It's got
Oh, I see. It's not just a one solid piece.
5 little. Oh,
How
it's just
many
like
does it have? 3 or 4?
there's 5. There's 5 little slits in there.
Little sluts.
Well, I said slits.
I know, but I heard something else.
Oh, but anyway, now we're gonna get to my number 1, and
Dun,
you've already.
dun, 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 dun. That's Ric Flair's music, though. Never mind.
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun.
dun, dun.
But
Here
speaking of
it
music,
is. Here it is,
my number
ladies and
1,
gentlemen. The big
uh,
reveal.
we started off this episode with his music, and
Oh my God.
it is The Undertaker.
Oh my God. I can't believe. Okay. I was gonna say I disagree, but then these are our own lists. So this is
Right.
how vain I am right there. I already forgot. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
He's already ready to
I
argue.
mean, okay, I'll take Undertaker. You know, entertaining as hell. It's the dead man.
Hmm. Uh,
Please.
and we talked about a lot about it earlier. The long test of time. Just the way he changed his character throughout the times, and he was just always the Undertaker. Never changed. He never. That's what he was. He came out as an Undertaker character wise, and then um, he never had to change his name. His look changed, but um, it was just, oh man, just the fear, the fear. No one really had fear in anybody, except for the fear that they have in the Undertaker. As soon as that music hits, they're just like, oh shit, oh man. And then they want to run, but he'll catch you. He'll catch you at some point, so there's no point in running. But I just the huge test of time really stands out for me. I mean, I was born in '85, so you're talking about 5 years old. That's when this dead man comes out, and you're just like, oh, it's just scared, and then it just carries on for years, and then um, I think it took up until, man, damn near almost Yokozuna. Might have been the first time where Undertaker was like a good guy. You weren't really afraid of him, and then you're like on his side. I mean, there's a lot. He may have had the Bret Hart feud before that, but again, Bret Hart was always mostly good.
Yeah, he was
I
always a baby.
I mean, the casket matches and just the first time seeing that, and just like the guys that he literally just put in a casket. I mean, there's nothing. Personally, my biggest fear is death, and getting put into a casket. I would just, oh man, that would just.
Oh,
But then you got the buried alive matches. You got the Inferno match, the Hell in the Cell match, um, and all these guys that he feuded with. The creation of Kane with his storyline. Without that story, there would be no Kane.
no, 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 no.
Paul.
Thanks for letting me know that. Thanks for letting me know that. That's
Well,
true. What can I say? What can I say?
right.
But
Um,
I'm also pretty insane.
well, we all are. Um, but I mean, then you got the WrestleMania winning streak, um, and just everything, and it's just there's not much. I not much I can really say more.
Then
And
The
again,
Undertaker.
there you hear that dong, and that just his entrance. I mean, not many people can have a 15-minute WrestleMania entrance. Um, and I mean, and
Yeah,
not many
I mean,
people. Just
I think
everybody.
that's why WrestleMania was extended 1 hour, just so Undertaker could get to the ring. It's gonna
Right.
be like WrestleMania 87. It's gonna be Undertaker, he's just in an urn. They're just gonna put him on a little thing, and it's gonna take like an hour just to get across to the ring, and then they're gonna turn the lights on,
Yeah.
and everybody's gonna lose their minds. And we sold out $200,000, 200,000 people in some ridiculous stadium of the future where people watch uh in avatars, robotic avatars, and the Undertaker is they're still paying respects to him. Like that, I mean, that's like I know that's far fetched and exaggerated, but that is his legacy, really, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he's paved the path of so many people, and that's where, as my favorite wrestler now, Bray Wyatt, um, and having to compare him very much as like the Undertaker of this generation right now.
He can be, and
Yeah.
I think it's oh yeah, I agree with you. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's another big reason as for me as to why I'm still watching wrestling and what really keeps me tuning in. Um, Not for I mean, for a big part of it, but um, the rest is just my love for wrestling. But
But it's dude, it's a love for characters, and
yeah,
Undertaker is
yeah.
what a character. What a
Oh
fucking
yeah,
character.
yep. And his respect for the business, and even though putting his body through what he did, and um, he had, I mean, and his signature moves, choke slam. Obviously, started off with a tombstone, and no one else does tombstones. No one else ever did really. Um, cross their arms and roll his eyes back, and um, even when he would get knocked down, the way he just sat up. If he got
Yeah.
clotheslined over the top rope, he'd always land on his feet. Um, his
Log the rope.
ropes, snake eyes, and then he got the triangle hold, which that didn't come out until later in his career, and he was a little bit more technical. But he was what they nickname him, the best striker in wrestling. Um, he was. I mean, he put on his little gloves on and just he'd hurt you. And rest in peace. What a catch line. You're just done with someone. And then back in the day, man, when he'd win, and then they put put the wrestler's body in a body bag, and he just carry him off into the into the back, and
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah,
Well, I don't know if that's PG. They should have kept doing that, but I
yeah,
doubt that would stick.
right. Um,
Oh, but yeah, I mean,
Plus, he did it. It was mostly jobbers uh, because there wasn't really much muscle weight to have to carry around. There wasn't any.
and some jobbers worked out, man. Some jobbers were good, which
Not,
also would just let the uh, people know that we'll definitely. This is the Jawber Report. I don't know how much reporting we're doing, but we're for sure going to be talking about some jobbers I think that we talked about them being underappreciated as superstars, the enhancement talent. But we're gonna go right back to the Undertaker here,
Um,
the
yeah,
American Badass.
not much more that I could really say
There
about.
there is a lot more. I mean, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying there's Undertaker as a character. Like, how often can you see somebody who changes? Like, so he's like a completely different character now as an American badass,
Right,
but his name is still the fucking Undertaker,
right,
and no audience like is even remotely uh, um, shunned away from that. They didn't care. It
hmm
was like they just took to Undertaker to the American Badass like they took to the Undertaker. You're like,
yeah, yeah,
okay, so I mean,
yeah.
and then
But
also
there wasn't any
that's gotta say
there wasn't any confusion of
no.
how, like, why is he this, like, he just comes out, but 'cause there's a reason that is just wanted to fight. Um,
Yeah,
Again, that early part of the badass was a little kind of little vague as to the. I want to look back at it as far as the transition of that character. I would like to look back on myself personally, um, like maybe like the debut of the badass. Like, was he out for a while or something like that? Was there a storyline where? Um, but as far as one of the most epic moments, and I'll never forget this, was when he lost the casket match against Yokozuna, and Yokozuna had pretty much the entire back room coming out and helping him. And at the very end, the casket's getting carried out, and then the light shines on there, and Undertaker appears on the Titantron inside the casket, and he's just super pale, and you see the redness around his eyes, and just like the dead of him, and he does his little rest in peace, and he just sails off upwards to Titantron like he's going to heaven, kind of thing. And you don't know when he's coming back or not. Like, and then that's the thing is, I mean, throughout time, when he is doing only wrestling one match, two matches a year, when it's done, you don't know when he's coming back. And when it happens, you're like, oh shoot, like, yeah, it's oh yeah,
that's, would it be safe to say that that's your favorite wrestler? I guess that's a difficult thing
that's
to
and
really
that's and that's
form.
where that's where we're like that's arguably, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would consider my favorite wrestler of all time. Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah,
difficult to
because
argue against the Undertaker. It's
yeah,
difficult
it
to
is.
argue at all. Not that I
Kind of
would argue it, but
you kind of
it's
don't want.
he's not even on my he's not on my Mount Rushmore at all. And I realize what he's contributed, but I'm like I'm also like my Mount Rushmore is now that I think about it is pretty fucked up.
Oh,
Uh
you said it's it's ours.
yeah, it is. It is. It is. Man, I don't know. Like I never really got into the Undertaker as much as um I guess you have, as much as most people have, because I think Undertaker would definitely be up there,
Right,
in for most people.
right.
Um, it was probably because I was more into Kane, just because it was like more like a superhero, wore a mask.
hmm
Um,
Well, and that was also the time that
started
were
watching.
watching. You
That's
know,
true. I mean that's very true.
If you say that's roughly 97 ish.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got to the
That's
States in '98, so yeah,
yeah.
about that time.
So that's like that's 7 years without just the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and his matches with Yokozuna, Bret Hart, Giant Gonzalez. Like, I'll always remember WrestleMania 6. in Las
Giant
Vegas.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, in the chloroform. That's the only.
They were outside for that one. I remember that.
Yep.
'Cause
Yep.
they actually drove him in like a, I don't know what it was, but they drove the Undertaker.
Yeah, they're like carrying like they all carried them out and
Yeah, he had that
that
he had that
was
like eagle or something, or didn't he?
Raven, I believe, or something,
Raven, yeah,
or Vulture or something. Um,
Vulture.
but yeah, man, that and a lot of people mark that as, and we'll get into this in the future too, I believe, because but a lot of people mark that as one of the worst WrestleManias. I mark that as one of my best, and I think that's probably because it was like so early and so memorable. Um, but uh, yeah, no, just seeing him go against Giant Gonzalez and seeing him go against someone so much bigger than him was fun. I mean, obviously Giant Gonzalez wasn't a good wrestler at all or anything like that, but
Well, I mean, yeah, he wore like it's like give me a break on that judging. Although I probably never mind. I fucking judge as much as anyone. Shit. Okay. I've
but
seen all kinds of shit that I
right,
say that I don't do that I do that I don't say. I'm the first one to catch myself now. I just
yes,
remember Giant Gonzalez's muscle suit.
yep,
That
and
was something. That
just
was something.
catches a hair just to edit edit himself.
That was
But
something.
yeah, so the Undertaker, that's my number one, and he completes my Mount Rushmore of Mick Foley, The Rock, Ric Flair, and Undertaker. Um, yeah, I like that. I like that Mount Rushmore right there. What I kind of want to do, I kind of want to Photoshop or something to get the Mount Rushmore and just Photoshop their faces. And,
Why not?
well,
Just do it.
maybe have that set up, have that be the picture of our this video. Um,
Just do it. Hell yeah.
yeah, we'll do it. We'll make a picture of both of our Mount Rushmores. And
Well, you're gonna be pissed off who I choose as like some of the top guys.
I'm very curious. I'm very curious.
Um,
Although
well, well,
I'll probably understand though. I mean, if you just so you know.
you are an understanding kind of guy.
Well,
Um,
we can't
well,
just put all wrestling into four people.
no, I'm like as you were saying that, that's what I was literally thinking to myself. I'm like, there's just way too much, too many people to put on. It's like I put Sting in there, like okay, that wouldn't be most people's, but he was about like John Cena numbers from
Right.
what you read. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's really interesting.
Oh,
Um, Undertaker, shit, man. Mark Calloway, once again, thanks. Um, we were speechless. Not only was he a locker room leader and everybody spoke well of him, as far as we can tell.
mhm.
He just seems like a stand-up guy, and he was I mean, just the match where he put Randy Orton over, one of Randy's first matches where he gave Undertaker a run for his money. That was like that ought to tell you what kind of person Undertaker was.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so
I mean,
yeah,
even uh,
making the wrestling world better, man.
yeah. I mean, even having Brock Lesnar, end his streak and the respect that he had for
Wow,
Brock Lesnar to be like, you're gonna break my streak, pretty much. And it's
not a
like,
selfish, not a
as
selfish
much
thing.
as the rest of the wrestling world was mad. I mean, he didn't care. I mean, it's not gonna taint his. If that, even if say like that match, if that was like his last match, because you almost feel like someone like the Undertaker, you know, that's his last match, and even then, back then, I would have been happy with his, the career that he had, and
That's when he could have folded
yep,
his
yep,
coat and put the hat over it and walk away.
yep,
But who knew? Who knew how things were going to turn out?
exactly. No, as it kept going, it's like, man, like whenever you know that he's gonna have a match, You just have that like doubt, and you just have that concern of what's he gonna look like, and just like is it gonna? I really hope it's not gonna be sad to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, you don't want to watch like the Goldberg match.
And
That was,
it never,
but
it never was. It never was really sad to watch.
it was scary.
I mean, his
Goldberg
last
match was
match.
scary as
Oh,
fuck.
yes, yeah. Well,
But then you see what happened to Goldberg. He bashed his head into the post.
hmm yeah,
You see, like he was bleeding. Oh my God, that was just an ugly day at the office. But
yeah.
I'm just glad he turned the Undertaker over enough,
Right,
just enough. I
right.
mean, ooh, he screwed him up, but he just enough.
Yeah,
Bad
and
day at the office, but
Taker was almost done after that. Um,
oof,
and
oof.
and then even you're going back to Taker's last match, quote unquote match ever, boneyard match, and yeah, I mean it is what it is.
It was good that he went out as a American badass because
Yeah, and he rode off. He rode off.
that was more Mark Calloway. So if you want to give him any respect
Right.
for the performer,
Yep.
I don't know. Like I think the Boneyard match is a good way to go
And
out.
that, they referenced that they had the hearse, which I thought was great. They had the monks or whatever, um, which was great. The way that they did it, whatever, but just
Definitely.
referencing that. But but then it's like, oh man, like I said, like earlier, I was like, this should maybe reference the urn, and maybe you even heard in the background like Paul Bearer's laugh or something like that. Like, but anyway,
Yeah, but too much. I yeah.
but
That would just
no,
been a WrestleMania 36 Undertaker extravaganza. That would just been just like there's just not enough time for everything with the
no,
Undertaker. I mean, he's just a long career. He's on the top the whole time,
long.
and the stand-up guy. That's Big D's number one, Mountaintop,
Yep, yep.
the dead man
And now,
looking down at the people. And now Max Shaw's number one. Well, not number one, but what, number two? See, my thinking is you gotta have what makes a great superstar is the opposition, is the opponent. And I can't help because this person might end up burying the whole. That's a horrible word. I don't know if this is true. But you get an idea who I may have as my number two?
are
Ah,
you putting McMahon up there?
yes.
Because you said earlier that you kind of ruined your night, and I'm like, wait, I don't remember him saying it, but now,
Vince McMahon
yeah, I can't.
as the
In a
greatest.
logical,
I know you can't. I know you can't. I told you this is gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
um
in a
not as a
logical
not
way.
as a promoter, not as a promoter,
Hmm.
but as a hell of a heel.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I mean, I think the reason Stone Cold was so popular was because of Vince McMahon, and not the promoter, the heel.
right, right, Mister.
And Mr. McMahon,
Yeah,
I think that like he wasn't a good wrestler really. He was about he didn't fit any of that, but he knew how to be just a son of a bitch.
yeah, yeah.
And I can't think of anyone, even including Ric Flair, that people wanted to see more just get his ass whipped by Stone Cold Steve Austin, by anybody.
Anybody, anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Vince McMahon put himself in a lot of compromising situations, and he took a lot of bumps, man. I don't know, man. I feel like Vince McMahon, the heel,
Yeah, he almost pretty. Yeah, I mean, he did what he is. He's the leader of. He's the head of the company, and he totally took that lead and put, like you said, put himself. I mean, until that Attitude Era, you never saw him unless he
No.
was on the mic, commentating, whatever. But that Attitude Era, I mean, he just jumped out, and you saw him every week coming out, him and his goons, and just the stuff he went through. I mean, getting hell, yeah,
I
you
mean,
know,
he got beat by chairs. He got thrown off the cage. Just he did a Mick Foley on the
right,
announcer table,
right.
and he
If
didn't
only
land
he,
like Mick Foley did.
right. Oh
He
yeah.
he
Oh,
landed half on it, half not.
oof. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm talking about when I say, and I know that most people watching this will know when I say that this guy was hated. Like you just wanted to see this rich prick really just get his ass whipped
Yep.
because he always pulled his rank. He's always, always, always was a good heel, man.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon, Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
no, it's okay. Vinnie Mac. I
This
he's
is
in there, man. He's like I have the most eclectic Mount Rushmore. But I feel like Vince McMahon would be my number two guy, and I just as a promoter, like what he thinks sometimes,
mm,
especially nowadays,
right.
like
Right.
I'm like I don't know how this is gonna work.
Well, it's because coming from the success that he had,
Yeah,
you want that to continue, and you're just like, what do I have to do to get that done again? Um, and so it's not the same as it was.
no,
Um, but I mean, I think if it wasn't for Triple H, um, I don't think I don't think the company would be around. Um, so without, I mean, not just shout out to Triple H here, but if it wasn't for Triple H, there wouldn't have been NXT, and that wouldn't have become as big as it is now, and they wouldn't have as many superstars as they have now and the talent. I mean, maybe you can't say for sure,
well, I don't
but
know how it would be honest with you. I don't
yeah,
know. Like I don't think Triple H is making it to a lot of Mount Rushmores, but Triple H
yeah,
was he was one of the guys. He was he wasn't as good of a heel as McMahon though. Like let's
no,
just
no,
no, no. But that's that. I Triple H would be an alternate a lot.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I was debating with him a little bit too, but I knew he wasn't going to be. If anything, he would have been number five, but again, I mean, that's just, again, with him coming in as Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And um, and then even prior to that, obviously he was around a little bit before that with his other career, but, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and then, the way just his character developed and what he became the game and, DX and all that. I mean, he definitely a notable
Yeah.
honorable mention.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, I don't think the Montreal, like not the Montreal, but the curtain call, uh, because Triple H was the only one punished because he was the only one left, really.
yep,
And that's what made him the game. Because I remember the interview when he was talking to JR for a year.
yep,
He's like, I was put down. He's like, I'm made to play the game or something. Well, like I am the game,
yep,
and that's when it started. You're like, holy shit.
yep. But oh, Vince McMahon, that's a
That's
hell of a. I mean, that just makes sense. I mean, if not being the number one, like he is WWE. He is the reason that
the heel, man. He's the
his
heel.
taking over from his father, and um, even being a heel, kind of like his non-commentator, and uh, maybe not so much a heel, but um, still being involved. Like when Macho Man was commentating with him, and then the old Macho Man was tired of commentating and wanted to wrestle. And that's when he went to WCW, and they couldn't really hide anything back then. And yeah, and then Eric Bischoff comes along, and there you go. Now it's time for Mr. McMahon to come out. And I always remember something. It was when they had the big limo explosion, and McMahon was inside the limo, and a lot of
Was
people.
that when they dropped that ball, the wrecking ball on her or something?
Yeah, something on it, and I just. But that was the day that Vince McMahon said that Mr. McMahon died, but Vince McMahon didn't, and that's when you kind of real that's kind of like when he, and for me it took a while to realize that he did actually have his own
Exit.
separate identity, separate character.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like, yeah, that's completely. And I was just like, but yeah, so that was like the day that Mr. McMahon died, not Vince McMahon. Because I think it was like someone had asked him what happened or what happened to you. I thought you were supposed to be Vince McMahon or something. He's like, I am Vince McMahon. Mr. McMahon is the one that died or something like that. And yeah, but then you got the whole.
One more of his crazy things.
I just changed my voice and it reminded me of the "You're fired."
I mean, come on, man. You wanted that guy. You wanted to see that guy constantly.
Yeah.
You wanted to see him lose. You wanted to see him get whipped. You wanted to see him get hurt. You didn't like him, and it just spanned across so many people. And this is like if you're gonna have a Stone Cold on there, you gotta have McMahon on there. I don't think
Right.
they like Stone Cold might have been. He's not the same without Mr. McMahon. He's not the same.
Yeah. No. Because I completely agree with that.
So, yeah.
I love the fact even to like these days now, he's still being portrayed as hate, and that goes into the Firefly Funhouse, and how
Yes.
he's the devil in Bray Wyatt's mind, or whatever, and like, and
yes,
that's just awesome. Like he's just that hate is going to continue on, but man, so that completes your Mount Rushmore, and you can
readjust.
Well, no, because what would you have? You had, or just go back and go through who you had.
So I believe it was Sting. Well, I started with Kane as number one, then I went back to Sting. Then I forgot.
Austin.
Well, Austin was Okay, Austin was 3, McMahon was 2. Okay, I see. Because I threw myself up on these numbers. Yeah. But Kane is number 1 just because that's just my Mount Rushmore. It's got that big red machine mask. It's just cooler. It's cooler. I'll spray paint that part of the Mount Rushmore too.
That's
and I'll have crews on at work every year just to keep spray painting it so it's fresh.
Yeah, and then you got Sting's Crow.
Yeah.
And
then I got Austin and McMahon, the biggest draw in the
right in the middle
in the history of wrestling.
Right in the middle. Steve Bruschi.
Yes, Steve Weiser.
Steve Weiser. No, that's like you said, we all have our own Mount Rushmores, and again, in the comments, definitely put down your Mount Rushmores of wrestling, and you can say why or not, but
just throw them down. Let us know,
and we'll see and the variety of them. I mean, again, it's all based on obviously. Well, I was going to go back on. I actually was looking over a lot of other wrestlers' Mount Rushmores, and obviously, their influences go way back. But it's like people like Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah,
he was number one on almost every single Mount Rushmore, and
Mm,
I
I,
didn't.
sorry,
I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there
I
was
didn't watch
no
it. It's a new era, man.
even
Somebody's gonna have Drew McIntyre on there one day, and I'm just gonna sit and go, "Oh my god!" But that's just it shows my age.
right. And no, it's
It's like saying that nobody now can be in the Mount Rushmore. You know.
yeah, yeah. I don't, not right now, or not even ever probably. I mean, I can't. I mean, honestly, from the Mount Rushmore, I mean, my own Mount Rushmore, I can't really see anybody right now, even in the future, taking over any of those spots.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's good.
I mean, um, even being a honorable mention, who knows?
Well, what do you got? What was so you had Mankind
Yep,
as
or
number
mixed up.
5.
Yep,
You had
or
who?
four.
Rock. Rock was your 4, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Mankind 4, Rock 3,
Yep,
Flair 2,
yep,
and Undertaker number 1.
yep, yep, yep. And that kind of, that, and again, it goes almost like I was thinking way back, and then Flair obviously hit my mind, and then as I'm getting, going up the years, and it's like, oh shoot, Undertaker, and then that whole Attitude Era, and then it's like after that, it's like,
It's a steep drop.
I mean, yeah, as far as Mount Rushmore, I mean, you can have your little mountains, and you can have your Rocky Mountain guys of like,
So
uh,
so so that's our number
that's a
5.
different. I mean,
So
that.
we said we're gonna choose one more number 5, and we're hitting 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh
So
wow.
we should probably end it soon. So why
Yep.
don't we throw in our alternates?
Um. hmm,
Do you want
I'm,
me do
I,
do you want me to do it first so
yes.
you can
Yeah,
close it?
because
Because I
my
closed them.
alternate was already Stone Cold,
Oh, okay.
but because that was a split between him and The Rock. But I want to think I can think of another name for sure.
All right, so I'm gonna throw this one at you.
Okay.
Okay? You suck. You suck.
Dun, dun,
Na na na
dun,
na.
dun, 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 dun.
I'm just
Go,
gonna leave it at that. Kurt Angle,
Kurt
fucking
Angle.
awesome. Kurt Angle was just he was entertaining. Kurt Angle was fucking entertaining, and the milk truck and the Olympic Slam, and he could go. He had some really great matches.
Mm-hmm.
With that fucking bloodbath with Shane McMahon, King of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Kurt Angle for me is like right there. But it's just once again I'm trying to choose some different people. But
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, honestly, my first thought, well, actually, my first two thoughts, I had three people hop in my head just now, and this is going based off of not really just having about 10 seconds to think about it, but
can
uh,
I guess one?
yeah,
Eddie Guerrero.
no,
Damn. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
no, no.
Go
Uh,
ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
it was actually I had Rey Mysterio was in there, and that definitely goes back to the luchadors, and how long of a heck of a career he has had as well. Um, Edge,
Haha.
and which is kind of funny, and then the one I was like arguing with myself, I'm like, oh wow, it seems, but CM Punk was my other, and that's, I mean, obviously those, I mean, Edge, I mean, CM Punk's a lot more recent. I mean, Edge was even late '90s, and then Mysterio was all through the '90s, really even late '80s. Especially WCW. Um, I think he had a huge, huge impact, especially on the again, the luchadors and Mexican Latinos. You definitely, I mean, he'd have to be up there on, you know, I don't know, a plateau or something. I was going like Mexican plateaus. They don't really have mountains, but but anyway, those two guys, and then Andre Giant kind of snuck in a little bit there. So obviously
It's
there's
difficult. It really is difficult.
yeah.
My number 5 will change, I'm sure.
Right.
It'll all change.
There's a lot of history to define that, and just 4. It was hard enough, but getting I mean, that's just.
And look, we still had 2 hours 22 minutes.
That's
4
crazy.
people.
That's great. 8 people, yeah.
Yeah, 4 each.
15,
Yeah.
a little over 15 minutes apiece. Jeez. But anyway. But no, I mean that completes our own personal Mount Rushmores, and I think they're both really good. And again, everybody out there, please put in the comments your Mount Rushmore. Don't forget to follow, share, hit that subscribe button, hit that alert.
Yeah.
So you know when we
Tap that button.
tappy tap. And yeah, and we'll be back next time. I'm not sure what we'll end up doing, but then we got some Raw and SmackDown. The Raw and SmackDown talks might come every other week now because it's a little
It's
slow.
a little redundant and it's a little slow.
Yeah, I mean,
we need something else, man. We might look at some jobbers. We'll job it up.
Yeah, and that's gonna be that's gonna be a good one too, for sure.
That's gonna be some research.
I mean, that might be. Oh, it might be another 2 hours.
My boy Leon Hart. Leon Hart is one of my most favorite wrestlers today. He's on my Jawber Mount Rushmore. No,
You go the Jawber Mount Rushmore. I mean, I don't know if he has to be Brooklyn Baller.
That's like below sub level, below sea level.
Sea level. But yes. So thank you for joining and listening. And this has been the Jawber Report with Big Dan and Max Jaw.
Max Jaw. And that's it.
Woo! Woo!
We'll see you next week.
Thank you again, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
I think it's safe to say they come out Friday. For sure.
Friday.
We're recording Thursday. They come out Friday. I can get them out now. But we're out.
Breaking news.
It broke. All right, guys. Later. Oh, I guess.